Hail travelers, and welcome to the Knight's Realm. Here in the realm of Camelot, I, the Guardian Knight, venture deep into the archives of popular culture and entertainment to bring you all my own perspective on such matters. The Michael Bay Transformers films are a controversial topic in the Transformers community. There are those who despise them for various reasons, from the overabundance of human characters to the excess amounts of violence, and those who adore them both as films and as a Transformers property. Many of the latter herald the Bay films as their introduction to Transformers, and thus look back on them with a hint of nostalgia. Those who hate them were typically introduced to Transformers through a different medium, be it G1, the Unicron trilogy, the comics, or even shows that aired after the first film, such as Animated or Prime. As such, their inherent views on Transformers are colored rather differently than Bay fans. My perspective on the films, as someone whose first introduction to the franchise was a combination of G1 and Armada, is mixed. Personally, I do see merit in the films. The first and third one especially have a great concept at their cores, and even the second film started off strong. It did not stay that way. These films are not without issue. I strongly dislike how Optimus in particular is portrayed as the movies go on. The number of scenes with no Transformers whatsoever in them is ridiculous, and many of the robots are incredibly underdeveloped as characters, especially among the Decepticons. But as stated previously, they are not without merit. Thus, I have decided to take on the challenge of rewriting the Transformers films to bring that core story front and center. Now, join me as we delve deep beneath the castle and begin our quest. First things first, ground rules. This rewrite will stick to the main plot of the film, not diverge into some fanfiction version of events. If I wanted to turn these films into something completely different than what they are, I might as well just write my own Transformers story. Not that I'm opposed to doing that, but that would be a different project entirely. No, instead I will be focusing on tweaking the elements of the film that I felt did not work, on top of adding or removing parts where I deem it necessary. One big change, however, is in the protagonist or focal character of the film. While I will keep Sam Witwicky as the main human character, he's not going to be the central character of the film. That is going to be Optimus Prime. This movie is called Transformers, after all. It will be Prime's choices that drive the narrative forward, not Sam's. Though, to be fair, Sam made few actual choices in the film as is. He was pretty much just dragged along by the plot. An epidemic in modern protagonists, honestly. Looking at you, Harry Potter. That being said, Sam will not be a useless character in this rewrite. I also intend to flesh out the Autobots and Decepticons more and avoid some of Bay's weirder additions, many of which revolve around either the over-sexualization of women or a weird brand of racism. A very weird brand of racism. So, with that out of the way, let's dive in. Here at the beginning, I will be adding something. Much like G1 in the Bumblebee movie, this rewrite will begin not on Earth, but Cybertron. Specifically the battle wherein the Allspark was launched into space and Bumblebee lost his voice. Tiger Pax. This battle is depicted somewhat in the IDW tie-in comics, which are leagues better than the films themselves in terms of storytelling, but we are adding it to the film proper here. A narration from Optimus Prime opens the film, much as it did in the original film. However, the content of the narration differs slightly. Cybertron, our home. For many thousands of years, it was a beacon of peace throughout the universe, home to the greatest civilization in the cosmos, until the rise of the Decepticons. Once they were our brothers. Now, they seek to destroy us. Only we, the Autobots, stood a chance against their onslaught. But this endless war has ravaged our once great planet. The one thing that has kept the Decepticon leader, Megatron, from fully conquering Cybertron is the Allspark, the source of life for Autobot and Decepticon alike. From the war's advent, I, Optimus Prime, have kept this precious artifact hidden, but I knew from the beginning that I could not hide it forever. Now, in the twilight days of the war, Megatron has found the Allspark's hiding place. The camera pans down to a battlefield in Tiger Pax. A squad of Autobots led by Bumblebee is holding back the Decepticons, led by Soundwave, while Starscream watches the battle from an observation deck aboard the Nemesis. "There's too many of them! Lieutenant, we have to fall back!" "Hold the line, Autobots! Prime needs as much time as we can give him." "Decepticons, advance." The Decepticons continue their charge. Despite being outnumbered, Bumblebee's squad are able to prevent the Decepticons from reaching the tower.
The Autobots are fools. They should know to surrender when they're outmatched.
Starscream! Report! Have your troops seized the city yet?
No, Lord Megatron. Soundwave has advanced into the city, but the Autobots...
How difficult is it to exterminate a single garrison of Autobots?
Not difficult at all, my Lord Megatron. These Autobots are surprisingly resilient.
Enough of your excuses! You have failed me, Starscream. I will claim the Allspark myself.
The transmission ends, leaving Starscream both flabbergasted and incensed. Soundwave and his troops have forced the Autobots to retreat to the inner city. Sparking remains of fallen warriors litter the ground.
Soundwave, prepare for my arrival.
As you command, Megatron. The Decepticons stop their charge at Soundwave's command. They keep their weapons at the ready, but do not fire. Bumblebee looks out at the battlefield and wonders why the advance has ceased. A glint off of something in the distant sky draws his attention.
No.
Sir? What is it?
It's him.
A silver alien jet flies into frame. It swoops downward before transforming midair into a titanic figure bearing a large cannon on his right arm.
Megatron.
Megatron strides forward, every footstep seeming to shake the ground beneath him.
Hold here, Soundwave. I will exterminate these insects myself.
As you command, Megatron. Megatron draws near the inner city as Bumblebee and the others get into position around him. When he enters the arch, Bumblebee shouts, "Now!" and the Autobots rain fire down on the Decepticon leader. It has little effect. Megatron returns fire, blasting one of the Autobots into oblivion. He continues firing from his fusion cannon, destroying Autobot after Autobot. Bumblebee activates his radio and contacts Optimus, who is in the control room of the Citadel.
Prime! We're being slaughtered down here!
Optimus stands before the console, hearing the chaos outside.
He sighs heavily, his shoulders heaving beneath a great emotional weight.
Ironhide, his faithful companion, stands just behind him.
It's not too late to change your mind, Prime. Doesn't have to be this way. No, Ironhide. This is the way it must be. For the sake of the universe and the future of our race, I must do this, even if it dooms Cybertron.
As Prime speaks, his words are laid over a sequence of Autobots fighting Megatron. As the bots near him, Megatron pulls out his mace. He swings it in a wide arc in front of himself, dealing a devastating and fatal blow to the Autobots that charged him. Only Bumblebee remains standing. Courageously, the young scout charges into the fray, only to be knocked prone by Megatron blasting the ground in front of him. The Decepticon tyrant leans down and grabs Bumblebee by the neck, lifting him into the air.
Where is my Allspark, Autobot worm?
Out of your reach, Decepticon!
As Bumblebee says those words, Optimus presses a button. A brilliant blue light fills the chamber as the dome over the Citadel opens. A great cannon launches the Allspark into orbit. Megatron looks overhead and sees the distant relic flying into the unknown.
You're too late, Megatron. You'll never get your claws on...
In a rage, Megatron tears Bumblebee's voice box from his throat and crushes it beneath his heel. He throws the injured Autobot aside and transforms, taking off. Prime presses another series of buttons, and a space bridge portal opens just past Cybertron's atmosphere. The Allspark flies towards it, with Megatron hot on its heels.
No! I will not be denied!
Both the Allspark and Megatron vanish into the portal, which closes behind the Decepticon leader. The Decepticons watch on as their master vanishes. As Optimus descends from the Citadel, Starscream orders a retreat.
Retreat!
All of the Decepticons fall back, with Soundwave lingering for a moment longer. The Autobots, Prime, Jazz, Ratchet, and Ironhide, approach. Optimus looks around at the destruction and is sorrowed. Lifeless, mangled metal is all that remains of most of Tiger Pax's defenders. Ratchet spots Bumblebee in the wreckage.
Bumblebee? Prime, over here.
The Autobots rush to the scout's side as Ratchet tends to him.
He's online, but only just. Primus.
What is it, Ratchet?
Megatron
tore out Bumblebee's vocal processor.
The Autobots stand in stunned silence for a moment. Can you fix him, Docbot?
I can try. That is all anyone can ask, Ratchet. Get Bumblebee back to base, quickly.
Ratchet transforms and races off with Bumblebee in tow. Optimus glances around once more. He notices that Cybertron's glow, the signifier of its life, is fading. With the Allspark gone, Cybertron has begun to enter stasis lock. Prime contemplates on his actions, wondering if he made the right choice, and even if he did, if it was truly worth it. Across the universe, the portal opens over Earth. The atmosphere drives Megatron off course, causing him to lose sight of the Allspark. He lands in the Arctic and begins to scan his surroundings.
Where is it?
After a frustrating moment, he picks up its signal to the distant south. His internal navicomputer charts a course, which is reflected in his optics. As he takes a step southward, however, the ice buckles beneath his weight. He lets out an almighty scream as he plunges into the frozen depths. He reaches out a hand as if to grasp at the distant Allspark just before entering into stasis lock. Centuries pass and both Autobots and Decepticons are forced to flee their dying planet. All the while, Megatron remains frozen, knowing where his prize is located, but unable to retrieve it. Many long years pass away, and an expedition led by Captain Archibald Witwicky ventures into the Arctic. This scene is present in the film, but I propose shifting it here to earlier, before we ever meet Sam. All that happens in the original film plays out here as well, with Archibald falling into a hole and discovering Megatron. Looking into the Decepticon leader's eyes will cause the course charted by his internal navicomputer to be etched onto Archibald's glasses, and drive the explorer mad. His madness will be the result of a brief connection between his own mind and Megatron's. Seeing the absolute evil within this being's mind is enough to break Archibald's sanity instantly. This will help in characterizing Megatron further as an irredeemable monster. As Archibald writhes on the ice in physical and mental agony, the camera will pan over to Megatron's face, still perpetually frozen in an infuriated scream. With that, we now wrap up this added prologue and dive into the movie proper. The events in Qatar will go down in a manner essentially identical to the actual film, as I felt this scene was actually a masterclass in tension and character building. Captain Lennox and Sergeant Epps are a couple of my favorite human characters in Transformers media, and the rest of the Army Rangers are enjoyable despite their limited screen time. The only change to the scene will be in a message transmitted from Blackout to the Nemesis above. This will be played out initially using cyberglyphics translated into English text, as I felt that was an interesting inclusion in the original film. When the signal is cut off, the scene will switch briefly to the Nemesis. Signal lost. Information incomplete.
Then we must find another source if we are to discover the location of the cube.
Addendum. Location of Cube and Megatron.
Yes. Him. Barricade, Brawl, Bone Crusher. Join Blackout on the planet's surface and find the Allspark.
The three new Decepticons take on vehicle forms provided by Soundwave, and Barricade is also provided the assistant of Soundwave's minion, Frenzy. There will be banter between the three of them, so as to provide more characterization than was present previously. Barricade is incredibly by the book, but in an aggressive way. Brawl is slow-witted and teetering on feral. Bone Crusher is equally savage, but more tactically minded. Blackout is shown to be the strong, silent type, but, like Soundwave, is fiercely loyal to Megatron. Of course, Starscream is shown to be conniving and power-hungry, an element that was absent in the films as is, for some reason. Soundwave's presence will be the one major change to the Decepticon lineup, though he himself will not descend to Earth in this installment. One of the biggest problems with the films was the lack of character for the Decepticons. They felt like generic alien monsters who just existed to destroy and be killed by the Autobots, with a few notable exceptions, or in some case, killed by the humans. One of the charms of the Transformers franchise is the fact that both hero and villain factions have fleshed out characters. Some of my favorite characters are actually Decepticons, so for them all to be snarling monsters aside from a select few, and even those few were little more than mustache-twirling evil robots, is a major detriment to this film and all that followed. These little vignettes inside the Nemesis will serve as a similar role to scenes aboard the Death Star or the Executor in Star Wars, fleshing out the villains even when they don't share the screen with the heroes. After a brief scene showing the US government's reaction to the attack on the Soxent base in Qatar, we meet our main human characters, the Witwickies. This is where some big changes will take place. See, while I feel that the first Transformers film has a great premise and central plot, there are two big things holding it back. Firstly, the overabundance of human characters, and secondly, the unlikability of the majority of the human characters. While I actually didn't mind the characters of Maggie and Glenn and found the comedy in these scenes to be actually funny, as opposed to the Bobby Bolivia scene, which was just bizarre, their inclusion caused quite a bit of bloat in the actual film. Thus, I will be trimming them down. Additionally, these characters never appeared in future installments where the Witwickies, Epps and Lennox, and Agent Simmons all proceeded to feature in both of the original sequels. Limiting our human cast to those who are consequential will allow for better characterization and leave room for the actual stars of the franchise. You know, the Autobots. I cannot harp on this fact enough. The full Autobot team does not appear until an hour into the original film, and Megatron is only a presence in the last half hour. Most of the runtime is split between awkward teenage shenanigans, admittedly cool military action scenes, meetings with higher-ups, and hacking. The kind of thing you'd see in something like Independence Day or Godzilla or any other dime-a-dozen monster or alien film. So little of the actual film is dedicated to the Transformers. This is unacceptable, and thus is the major thing we are changing. That being said, a supporting human cast is a vital part of most Transformers stories. Thus, let's meet the Witwicky family. Specifically, the Witwicky boys. Ron, nicknamed Sparkplug by his friends, and his son Sam. Ron is a recently widowed mechanic with a penchant for cars, thus his nickname. Sam is his 16-year-old son. As in the film, we meet Sam in class where he is doing a presentation on his twice great-grandfather, Captain Archibald Witwicky. He will lift up the glasses and the camera will focus on the strange etchings, hinting at events to come. Unlike in the existing film, Sam will not be awkwardly attempting to sell the stuff. Sam, in general, is going to be a very different character to his film counterpart. In the original film, Sam could only be described as a loser. Not a nerd, not an outcast, not a guy who's been dealt a poor hand, not even a weirdo with a heart of gold. A loser. Like the kind of guy even Peter Parker at his nerdiest would pick on. Every scene of him was grating. The secondhand embarrassment is real, people. While that's going to happen with teenage boys' characters in general, it did not need to be on this level. Instead, Sam's going to be a fairly normal person. An average dude with average grades who's moderately handsome. Extraordinarily ordinary. Thus making the journey he's about to go on even more extraordinary. Now, this does not mean that Sam is going to have the everyman personality. He has his own likes, his own dislikes. He may be a normal guy, but he's not Joe Schmo. He's definitely going to be a bit snarky. Much of that snark will have some pain behind it, though, as he's still mourning his mom. Like his dad, Sam likes cars, though he's more enthusiastic about the aesthetic side than the mechanical side. One area where he's above average is his knowledge and love of history. Unlike in the film where he seems to be incredibly nonchalant about Captain Archibald, here he is actually incredibly passionate about the topic. The unfortunate thing is that his classmates aren't. His teacher is equally uninterested, giving the assignment a middling grade. So Sam walks home a tad dejected. Amidst all his poor luck, he's all but forgotten something. It's his birthday. While he's forgotten, his dad hasn't. When he walks through the door, he calls to his dad, who emerges from the backyard covered in grease. Ron is incredibly excited and beckons for Sam to follow him, saying that he has a surprise. He leads his son into the garage, where he has something hidden under a tarp. He lifts off the tarp and shouts, "Happy birthday." Sam looks down and is slightly disappointed to find a somewhat junky 77 Camaro beneath the tarp. "What do you think, son?" Sure, it's a bit of a fixer-upper, but that's a classic right there. It's great, Dad. Sam smiles, trying to hide his disappointment. Because he's not a jerk in this version. Ron notices, however. I know it's not the greatest thing, but, I thought I'd get you something. These past months haven't been... As his dad trails off, Sam hugs him. I know. It really is great, Dad. Thanks. Fixer-upper, like you said. Ron's smile returns and he repeats his birthday wishes. He offers to help Sam soup the car up at some point, and Sam says he'd like that. As Ron goes into the house, Sam sits in the car's driver's seat. Like in the original movie, he rubs some grime off the center of the steering wheel and reveals a hidden Autobot insignia. He looks around at the car and begins to warm up to it. You know, this thing isn't half bad. As he exits the car to join his dad, the camera lingers on the insignia. The radio begins to fluctuate of its own accord. A first-person shot similar to Blackout's back in Qatar zooms in on Sam's backpack, which has the glasses within it.
Prime.
Location.
Found. Earth.
From here, we add another scene. This one is not set on the Nemesis, but on the Autobot ship, the Ark. Don't worry, when we get to Dark of the Moon, we'll change the name of Sentinel's ship. We flash to the interior of the ship.
Prime, we're receiving a transmission from Bumblebee. Bumblebee. Display at Ironhide.
Bumblebee's voice carries over the ship's comms, repeating the message from the previous scene.
Jazz, track that transmission.
Already on it, OP. Teletran 1 says that it's coming from a planet in the Omega Quadrant.
Omega? That's on the far edge of the universe. Cybertronian influence hasn't spread that far since the Golden Age.
The perfect place for the Allspark to hide, eh, Prime?
Optimus looks pensive. The coordinates of the space bridge he had activated all those centuries ago had been randomized, so that even he wouldn't know the Allspark's location in case of capture.
Jazz, chart a course for Earth.
All systems go, Optimus.
Ironhide, tell Bumblebee to hold tight. We are coming.
This next scene will also remain mostly identical, with Frenzy infiltrating Air Force One. While the analysts noticing the hack will still be present, we will not focus on the misadventures of Maggie the Aussie. Instead, we will introduce a character who typically appears alongside the Witwickies. Chip Chase, a boy genius confined to a wheelchair. His role will be similar to Maggie's as he detects the hack and warns SecDef Keller that this does not appear to be an attack from any foreign power that the US knows of. However, he will not swan off to find his hacker buddy, but will instead do government-sanctioned research of his own that puts him on the trail of Sector 7, Project Iceman, and Captain Witwicky. Barricade and Frenzy's findings will also be transmitted to the Nemesis, where Starscream will order them to claim the glasses. Now, we will be changing the eBay plotline here. While the memes are funny, they don't fit into this less flippant version of Sam. Instead, they will seek out Captain Archibald's family.
We must find this Witwicky human and force him to turn over the glasses.
Archibald Witwicky, deceased. Living relatives, Ronald and Samuel Witwicky. Location, Tranquility, California.
Barricade, go to this insignificant town and claim the glasses. If necessary, torture these fleshlings for the information.
Yes, Commander Starscream.
What the cons do not know is that the Autobots are one step ahead of them. In the original movie, Sam has a chase scene with Bumblebee that results in him getting arrested. This will be removed, along with the preceding cringy scene where he and his stoner friend crash Mr. Victim of Jason Voorhees' party. Yes, seriously, this Trent character later appeared in Platinum Dune's Friday the 13th remake and got impaled by Jason. Same actor, same character name, same douchebag attitude. The Transformers multiverse is wild. What we will have, however, is a bit of a meet-cute. While I was actually a fan of the character of Michaela in the original film and found her a far more well-rounded character than Sam, what I could not buy was that this girl would end up with Sam. So we'll be giving this Sam a better romance subplot. Emphasis on subplot. This is a minor plotline in the background of a Transformers story. On top of that, we're making Dark of the Moon happen a little earlier, because the girl in question is named Carly, not Michaela. This is because Carly was the name of the original Spike Witwicky's love interest back in G1. You may have noticed by now that the main human cast, Witwicky and Son, Chip the Analyst, and now Carly, are reflective of the cast of G1. This is done for two reasons. One, this is supposed to be a Transformers film, so why not include the original Transformers supporting cast? Secondly is to prove a point. The human characters in this film can be given new names, new appearances, and even new backstories, and it wouldn't change the core plot in any way, shape, or form. I could straight up rename Captain Lennox to Conrad Duke Hauser, and the story would be identical. All we'd have in terms of differences is a G.I. Joe reference 16 years earlier. I will not be going that far, however. Back to the rewrite. Sam will drive his new car to school the next day, and will be noticed by certain classmates, some of whom are antagonistic, as teenagers can be, others of whom think it's pretty slick. One of the classmates who appreciates the car will be one Carly Spencer, a young woman who looks rather like her G1 counterpart. Blonde hair, blue eyes, the works. Her outfit will be less 80s, though. She's got an eye for all things mechanical, but on a more scientific level. In the original show, Carly was an MIT grad. Because this Carly is a tad younger than the college days characters of G1, she is instead a prospective MIT student. Sam just turned 17, making this his junior year. Carly is 1 year above him, being a senior. This, again, is in reference to G1, where the story Bible states that Carly is a year older than Spike. Her similarities to Michaela Baines, however, lie in her appreciation for cars, her understanding of the mechanics, and her father's background. More on that later. After school ends, Carly approaches Sam and comments on his new car. Sam, being a teenage boy, gets a tad flustered at this pretty senior girl talking to him. We'll drop hints in this scene that the two of them are actually friends, though Sam's never felt confident enough to shoot his shot. Basically, he's had a one-sided crush on her for a while now, but lacks the confidence to do anything about it. Or rather, lacked the confidence. Like in the original movie, Carly begins walking home. As she does, however, Sam gets an epiphany. He has a car now. So in a less awkward manner than in the movie, he asks Carly if she'd like a ride. Carly happily agrees. As they drive, they talk about different things, like not how attracted she is to big, muscle meatheads, and just generally enjoying each other's company. However, Bumblebee stalls at one point. Not because he's being a matchmaker, though. This part of the original film always confused me, like, B, aren't you in the middle of a war? Bumblebee as a wingman is a funny idea, don't get me wrong, but time and place, my guy. This time, Bumblebee's stalling has to do with the fact that he's receiving a message from Optimus Prime. Not wanting to blow his cover, he feints a stall, forcing Sam to exit the car and look at the engine. Carly joins him and comments on it, like Michaela did in the original film. Sam asks how she knows so much, and she reveals that her dad was a big car guy. She was always interested in the engineering aspect, and that's why she wants to go to MIT. This part of the story is a little clumsy, I admit, but it's something. While they talk, Prime's transmission comes over Bumblebee's radio.
Bumblebee, arriving on... meet at these after sunset tomorrow.
A set of coordinates appear on a theretofore unseen HUD that appears on Bumblebee's windshield.
Message. Received. Understood. Sir.
B makes the engine work again, so Sam and Carly re-enter the car. As Sam drops her off, she mentions that she wouldn't mind going for another ride again sometime. Sam awkwardly admits that he'd like that too. The two say goodbye, neither of them knowing that their lives are about to change forever. Back in the Middle East, we catch up with Lennox and his men. Like with the prior scene with the Army Rangers, this scene will be pretty much identical. This is one of the few scenes in the original movie that I have zero complaints about. Scorponok is sufficiently terrifying, the human characters are engaging and entertaining, the jokes actually land, and the resolution with SecDef telling the extraction team to bring them home is incredibly emotional. The one inclusion will be a scene with Chip and SecDef following Scorponok's retreat. Since Chip didn't illegally leave, he is still present and relevant to the plot. He didn't vanish halfway through the first act only to suddenly reappear in the third. Secretary Keller, sir, I have something.
What is it, son?
I was able to decipher the code behind the sound. They, who or whatever they are looking for something called Project Iceman.
Iceman?
Yes, sir. It's connected to an organization called Sector 7, and a man named Witwicky. Back with the man, or boy, named Witwicky, Sam decides to go on a Saturday ride in his car the next day. Unfortunately, he's being tailed. Barricade and Frenzy have tracked him down and are in pursuit. At one point, Bumblebee spies the Decepticon insignia in his rearview mirror. He puts metal to the pedal and accelerates. Sam is caught off guard and tries to gain control of the car to no avail. Bumblebee decides to eject Sam in order to protect him and distract Barricade. Sam hits the dirt outside of a restaurant where Carly is having lunch. Much like Michaela in the original movie, Carly shows concern over what happened. The difference is in the fact that Sam is just as bewildered as she is in this instant. She points out that his car is still driving, and Sam freaks out and starts chasing it. Carly elects to follow him. Unfortunately, Barricade is faster. The encounter between Barricade and Sam is similar to the original film, though the dialogue is slightly different. Officer! Something's wrong with my car! I'm not sure what it— Hey! The police cruiser advances on him like a horror movie villain, cornering him up against an old jalopy. When Sam has no way of escaping, the car transforms. What the—
Are you Samuel Witwicky?
Huh?
Are you Samuel Witwicky?
Yes, I am. How do you know my...
Where is the map? Where are the glasses?
I don't know what you're talking about!
Talk, fleshling!
The Decepticon transforms his hand into a buzzsaw weapon and begins to threaten Sam with it. At the last moment, Bumblebee appears and strikes Barricade, slamming him into a pillar. Sam takes this chance to run right into Carly. At first she's confused, but her confusion turns to terror when she sees the looming Decepticon. Bumblebee puts himself between Barricade and the humans and then opens his door. Get in. Sam and Carly don't even hesitate to enter the car. Bumblebee races off, but Barricade transforms and resumes pursuit. Bumblebee takes the fact that he's being chased by a police cruiser as an excuse to speed. It will draw attention, sure, but most passersby would just think it's a traffic violation that the cops are handling, not a pursuit between two alien robots in disguise. Bumblebee takes the fight to an unpopulated area and discards the humans. As Barricade closes in, the Autobot scout transforms for the first time. Sam and Carly are mystified by their alien protector. Barricade also transforms and begins to square up.
Stay behind me.
No problem.
Bumblebee, I thought Megatron's legged you with Tiger Packs.
Not dead yet.
No voice of your own anymore? A shame. I was looking forward to hearing you scream. Frenzy, capture the male, kill the female.
Frenzy launches into the fray and charges the humans. Bumblebee is unable to stop the rabid Minicon before he is tackled by Barricade. Autobot and Decepticon engage in a brawl, using both melee and ranged weapons, while Sam and Carly avoid Frenzy's attacks. This scene shows more of the robot battle than the movie did, with less shaky cam. Seriously, these fight scenes can be hard to watch. Frenzy will not steal Sam's pants, because why did that even happen in the first place? But other than that, the fight will be similar. However, he will not be taken out by a fragging electric saw. This is another complaint I have about these movies. The robots are incredibly fragile. In most continuities, human weaponry is largely ineffective against Transformers aside from things like tanks, nukes, missiles, or anti-aircraft guns. Basically, the big guns. So why would a common household saw be in any way effective against Frenzy? He may be small, but he's made of the same materials as the bigger robots. The more I analyze these movies, the more it feels like Michael Bay wanted a military film with giant robots guest starring. Not in my movie, Mikey. Not in my movie. Instead, Carly will try to saw Frenzy, but it will be ineffective. Bumblebee is able to overpower Barricade and blast Frenzy with his hand cannon. This will blow Frenzy into pieces, but his head will survive. Like in the film, Frenzy's head will transform into a replica of Carly's cell phone and stow away in her purse, while Bumblebee ensures that the humans are okay.
Sam, are you hurt?
No, I'm fine, but who are you? What are you?
My name is
Bumblebee.
I am
Protector. Protector.
from above.
B gestures to the sky, and Carly realizes he means he's from outer space. You talk through the radio? Why can't you talk like that other robot?
Damage. Old wound.
Long ago. Bumblebee transforms and opens his door again.
No
More.
questions. Come. Must go.
Go where?
Prime.
Sam and Carly exchange a look and enter the car. Carly remarks that this is the weirdest car ride she's ever been on, adding a hint of flirtation into her voice. As they drive away, the camera pans to Barricade.
Commander Starscream, the human was within my grasp, but he escaped.
Escaped? How?
The Autobots, they're here.
Autobots? They must know the human has the map. Soundwave, mobilize the others. Have them converge on Barricade's location.
Not necessary. Frenzy has infiltrated humans.
Ah, well done, Frenzy. Order him to update us as soon as he learns anything.
Affirmative. Bumblebee drives Sam and Carly to a nearby mountain where they wait for the sun to set. He transforms and sets them on the grass. As they wait, the pair of them brush hands. Sam gets flustered, and Carly blushes. A few minutes pass, and something begins to streak towards them. That something is a ship. The ship lands atop the mountain and releases a small probe. This probe scans 4 vehicles: a truck, a Porsche, an ambulance, and a semi-truck. After the scanning is complete, the ship lets down a ramp. The airlock opens, and these 4 vehicles drive out. All 4 of them will have their iconic colorations, though. Not the Bay colors. I know why he made certain choices, but I don't care. Ironhide is red, dagnabbit, and Prime doesn't have a flame job. Ratchet isn't green either, but that choice never made any sense. Jazz can be silver, though, so a silver Porsche with red and blue racing stripes, a red pickup, an ambulance in classic white and red, and a red and blue semi-truck drive out of the ship. These 4 vehicles transform, revealing Optimus Prime, Ratchet, Ironhide, and Jazz. Once the Autobots exit the ship, a cloaking mechanism sets in, masking the ship's presence. Optimus Prime steps forward and greets the humans.
Greetings. I am Optimus Prime.
Hi. I'm, Sam Witwicky. Carly will also introduce herself. In case it isn't clear, I'm not giving her a voice because, well, I don't exactly sound like a woman. And I'm a bit of a one-man show here. Not ideal, but the alternative is me putting on a high, airy voice that just sounds like a man doing a high, airy voice. Yeah.
We are autonomous robotic organisms from the planet Cybertron.
Autobots, for short.
This is Ratchet, Chief Medical Officer.
A pleasure.
Ironhide, Weapons Specialist.
Howdy.
Jazz, my first lieutenant.
What's cracking, humans?
And you've already met our scout, Bumblebee.
Okay. I have questions.
I will do all in my power to answer them.
So, first of all, why are you here?
To find and protect our source of life, the Allspark. And to protect you and your planet from our ancient enemies, the Decepticons.
Decepticons? Like that car bot, that cop car bot that attacked us. Optimus looks to Bumblebee.
Barricade. Megatron's chief interrogator.
Megatron? Who's that? Optimus relates the story of the war, how Cybertron was once at peace, until a bot he once called brother, Megatron, turned on his people. Those who followed Megatron were known as the Decepticons, and those who opposed his reign of tyranny were named Autobots, because they valued freedom or autonomy. A cheesy explanation for the name? Sure. But this is Transformers. The entire franchise is cheesy when you think about it. As Prime narrates, the children are shown images of the war on Cybertron through Prime's holographic technology, because this part of the movie was pretty rad. Optimus begins to explain the events that led up to the prologue, how Megatron's regime threatened life itself. One day, Megatron decided that he could use the power of the Allspark to make himself all-powerful, powerful enough to destroy the Autobots and create an army of mindless soldiers who would obey his every command. Optimus knew that this would spell doom not only for Cybertron, but for all of existence. The power of the Allspark was never meant to be held by any one being, so he made the difficult choice to launch the Allspark into the far reaches of space, where he hoped it would be kept from Decepticon hands until the war could be won. Unfortunately, the war never ended, even once Cybertron went dark. Now, Cybertron is a desolate wasteland devoid of life. In order to restore Cybertron, the Autobots need to find the Allspark and keep it from Decepticon hands. Unfortunately, the Decepticons are already on Earth, and Optimus fears that Megatron may be as well. He explains that when he launched the Allspark into space, Megatron followed it through the space bridge. Where Megatron could be hiding, Prime does not know, but he suspects that the Decepticon leader is simply biding his time, lying in wait. From here we pan to where Megatron is located, the Sector 7 base beneath the Hoover Dam. We meet Director Tom Banachek and Agent Seymour Simmons, who are discussing the presence of NBEs in Qatar, as well as SecDef Keller's investigation. Banachek orders Simmons to find the Witwicky family and bring them to Sector 7 for debriefing. He sends other agents to intercept Captain Lennox and his men, while Banachek himself goes to meet with Secretary Keller and Chip Chase. While they speak, Banachek looks out at a figure designated NBE-1, or Project Iceman, which is, naturally, revealed to be Megatron, who remains frozen, but is very, very much alive and aware of his surroundings. We see Sector 7 from Megatron's viewpoint. He is angry, but he feels as if his freedom is soon to come. Megatron spies computer screens depicting Blackout and Scorponok, and realizes that the Decepticons have found him. In his mind, Megatron laughs.